All right, welcome back. We continue to follow developing coverage tonight, and that is another indictment for former President Donald Trump. Joining me now to break it down, Professor Stephen Caliendo, Dean of College and Arts and Sciences at North Central College in Naperville. I want to get right into this, Professor. Of the three conspiracy charges, one to defraud the country, the second to obstruct an official government proceeding, and the third to deprive people of their civil rights, is there any one charge that seems the most problematic for Trump in your mind?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how they're all defended. I mean, the way this indictment is laid out very carefully, and particularly with respect to, the aspect of folks being disenfranchised, state by state. Here's what happened in this state. Here's what we know happened in this state, et cetera. Some of those things are new. Some of those things, other parts of the indictment, for instance, the claim that the election was fraudulent, were public. And so the defense team for the former president is going to have to say either we didn't do those things, some of which were done publicly, or more likely we did them, but they weren't illegal. And so the special prosecutor is saying here these were illegal. These run afoul of the law. You can't do these things. And in fact, they were conspiratorial. And so the defense is going to be interesting to see how they decide to defend this, because to date, all it's been has been name calling and saying that it's election interference, not substantive refuting of any facts.
Okay, so that said, given the scope of the charges, given that there are allegedly a half a dozen co-conspirators, what sort of timeline are you anticipating for trial?
Well, and the special prosecutor just spoke a few moments ago. He said that we're looking forward to a speedy trial. Of course, this is very complicated because we've got lots of legal trouble for the former president coming, in the next few months and within the next year. At the same time, he's running for re-election, which he reminds us constantly, because he's saying that these are politically motivated election interference. And so, I mean, I don't know. Typically, there isn't coordination prior to the indictments coming down about the timing of those. But now that the indictments are there can be some coordination among these entities. First of all, the different parts of the federal investigation, which are, under the special prosecutor, that won't be hard. But then if we have an indictment in Georgia, which seems to be forthcoming any day now, and then, of course, we have the situation still in New York and in Florida, those all can be discussed, because as a defendant, he has the right to assemble a legal team and to have to defend himself. And so he has to have time to do that.
You mentioned the pending charges in Fulton County, Georgia. Is it fair, Professor, to compare the gravity of the charges, whether it's Manhattan, whether it's Florida, whether it's Georgia, or what we've learned today?
Well, always. I mean, we have a justice system that gives differential sentencing, for instance, of people found guilty of different types of charges. I think when you and I have talked prior, we've said all along that the New York documents case seems to be the least severe in terms, if this wasn't somebody running for office, it was just somebody facing some legal trouble. You never want to have an indictment against you, especially in an important case, in a high-profile case. But it's really the Mar-a-Lago case, the Georgia case, and this one are very important. Now, remember, we also have the civil case, right? This is a defamation case that's still pending as well. And so there's really 5 different legal aspects to what the president's going to be facing, in addition to running for president.
And all of that said, we got new polling today, Professor, from the New York Times and Siena College that shows a growing number of Republicans believe the charges levied against Trump are in fact serious. Given there's so much dramatic video of the Capitol riot, do you think that this case might sway public opinion?
It will not sway. I think there's a core group of people, and we've spoken about this, maybe 37% of the public. Nothing will sway them. Absolutely nothing will sway them. And the president's known this since 2015, when he made his famous comment about shooting somebody in the streets of New York and not losing supporters. What about the middle ground folks? Because there's also people that no matter what he does, no matter how much exoneration there may be offered, they're still going to believe that he did something wrong. And so there's that group too. But there's a lot of people in swing states who are going to have to make up their mind. They're going to have to make up their mind during a primary if they're voting Republican, and certainly assuming he gets the nomination, which he looks on track to do, they're going to have to make up their mind next November.
Professor Stephen Caliendo, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for your time. Our coverage of this third indictment of former President Trump will continue. I'll have local reaction right here on Fox 32 News tonight at 9. Corey?